out there accused of doing nothing wrong.
In the wake of the modern-day Black Lives Matter movement, and with the explosion of sensitive and thought-provoking movies like the remix Birth of a Nation, it only seems fitting and timely that we explore and have a conversation about how African-American men see themselves, feel about themselves, and get their perspectives on how they fit into American society.
So the black male image has had a very dynamic narrative arc. And if we start from the point of slavery, we have to understand the context from which that black male was ripped from that position of leadership, royalty, and established society. Technology, social claims had evolved and become sustained in those societies from which they were ripped. That includes religion and values. But when that black male became an African American male in the United States society, but still an enslaved individual, then you have issues of stratification, segregation. You have an identity associated with property and isolation. So identity for an African American male enslaved was that of buffoonery, minstrel, the worker, ignorance, servitude. The community evolved, society evolved to allow some African Americans to leave bondage, some African Americans to be born free, but to show their talents was always associated with this individual overcame some element. This individual is unique to their environment. And that's a travesty because, as you know, by now, Africans, individuals from Europe who are black, quote unquote black, had talents. They were craftsmen, they were scientists, mathematicians, but all of that was ripped. These individuals now are unique and special because they can read and write and however. But you did learn in the 19th century that some of the greatest artists, some of the greatest craftsmen were African American. Thomas Day was an individual who could create some of the greatest pieces of furniture sought after by kings and wealthy individuals from around the world. The greatest painters, Henry Tanner, Robert S. Duncanson, Edward Bannister. These were individuals who could not portray African Americans and their image in their paintings, but their landscapes and paintings were sought after. So the talents were there, but the identity was hidden. That's another travesty. But as you move into the Harlem Renaissance and the Great Depression and the 20s and 30s, you have intellectual pursuits. You have individuals succeeding, but there was still either, as Du Bois says, the talented tenth, or they were not amongst the norm. That's your third travesty of this history dynamic. I believe that an individual's image should be based on the foundation of their strengths, what they work for, not what they've overcome in their history, a history that predates them.
Being a black man in America has its ups and downs, but me personally, I love being a black man in America. I love the pressure, but being a black man in America also comes with discrimination at all times.
I feel like as black men, we have to work twice as hard just to get half of what the white man has. So you know, that's being able to, you know, that's having to work twice as hard to excel, whether it's inside the classroom, outside the classroom, in sports, anything that we do. And I definitely feel like there's a big target on our backs.
Being a black man in America, I feel like as much as it holds you back, I feel like it's so powerful that if you realize what you truly are and what you're truly capable of, you honestly, it's no limits for you. You can be whatever you want, you can do whatever you want. Once you get over, you know, all the little stereotypes, how people feel about you, once you see all past that, you good, man. Black is beautiful.
They look at the typical black male and how we dress and how we talk and how we present ourselves. They look at us as all the same, but they don't know that some of us are just as educated, probably even more educated than they may be.
It's hard, you know. We're like, out of any race, we're like a dying species, you know what I mean? And it's time to like step up.
So basically, people need to understand, especially us as black people, we need to understand that we were brought over here to be servants. All right, in 1619, when they brought that slave ship over here from Jamestown to Jamestown, Virginia, that pirate ship, they said, okay, these are going to be slaves. Those were African people that were slaves. They may have seen African people before, but they said, okay, African equals slave. That's the problem. Once you realize that, you'll understand that, hey, all right, if they thought about that 400 years ago, those same generations of white people over and over teaching their kids this hate, it didn't go away. It's still up and thriving. But the problem is that us as black people, we don't know ourselves, but they know who we are. And we don't know anything about ourselves. That's why this history is so important, man.
Just being behind the bar, you know, they held us in slavery for a long time while they was getting ahead.
They stripped you of your culture and they stripped you of your language. And that's how they started controlling us.
If you grew up in high school and elementary during the late 70s and early 80s, you still had that overt bigotry, that overt racism. Not to say that it's been eliminated, but you have a sensitivity in global perspectives and political circles that does not allow, to a large extent, the degradation that was allowed during the 50s and 60s and 70s. So that breeds an opportunity. There are equal rights at play, human rights at play, that breeds an opportunity for African Americans to be an American tale, an American story. So I feel good about the place that African American males are today, but that does not say that the journey is over.
We're dealing with some of the same issues and problems, but many of the leaders today are not stepping up and actually formulating ways to push their agenda forward. You had people that had organized forces. The only one we have today is BLM, Black Lives Matter. Other than that, I mean, what else do we have? Back then, they had the Black Panthers. They had the Civil Rights Movement. They had the Nation of Islam. I mean, that's just three right there in itself coming off the top of my head. So definitely a parallel change for problems that have not changed at all. I think we need to go back to some of those methods. Me personally, I'm not a protest guy, but protesting along with other ways of attacking the same problem in different ways, come on, man, you're bound to find some kind of answers.
The individuals that inspire me are those individuals that have found a way to transcend or navigate into different waters. I will have to say Ice Cube is one of my greatest inspirations in the fact that I consider him somewhat of a contemporary. He's not much older than me, and he's been able to find a way to take a very torn black male image and create a very positive black male image. His contemporary, Dr. Dre, was also able to take a very torn black male image and have it translate into a multi-million-dollar industry. You know, so he's an individual behind that. I would say the young politicians of the day, like the local Mayor Gillum and Kendrick Meeks, these individuals who've been able to step into politics in an atmosphere that can be sometimes considered a racist atmosphere, but also become very successful. These are individuals who've been able to transcend stereotypes, geographical obstacles, those are my contemporary inspirations.
So somebody in the past that I would say that definitely was a role model to me, I would say Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, I would say Huey P. Newton, definitely, just because how radical they are and how stuck they was on proving their point and getting their point across, and how they pretty much didn't back down for nobody. I definitely use those as a role model. And then also black males today with large amounts of wealth behind their name when they come from, you know, poor poverty situations, such as Jay-Z, of course. Definitely look up to Jay-Z. He's a good image to pretty much tell you, you know, no matter where you come from, whatever situation you can, you know, if you make the most of it, capitalize on it, you'll be all right.
Jay-Z, I had a grill in '88. You people are late. He had a grill in '88. He was selling drugs. He used to be a crack dealer. But now this man is a multi-millionaire. He's in the realm of, you know, bumping elbows with people that probably wouldn't even give him the time of day. But guess what? He rose above all the stuff that he had to deal with. And we could do the same thing in this country.
I'm thankful for Whip Gordon, man. Whip Gordon, he's my hero. Like, I never met a guy who took as many whoopings as him. Whip Gordon walked around, showed everybody the pain and the suffering he went through, almost on the level of Jesus. Like, slashes on his back, no meat on his bones, and he still stood strong and walked around every day and told these people that, you know what, I'm gonna stand up for what's wrong, and I'm gonna be right. So, Whip Gordon.
Who inspires me is that gentleman right there. It's gonna be Malcolm X. Probably one of the most unblemished black men that you'll see. That's why I look up to that man. He was unapologetically black, and he didn't apologize for the culture that we had brought to the table.
Booker T. Washington inspired me, you know, he made it cool to be black. He used being black something to, you know, help him succeed. So that's somebody I look up to.
Father, of course, you know what I'm saying. My father always, you know, pushes me to do best. You know, I'm a basketball player, I'm an artist. So when I was playing basketball, you know, he was there to push me for that. And he's actually the one who told me, you know, I should change my major from architecture to fine art just because he knew that I had a passion for drawing. You know, my father, you know, and really, it's really just, you know, besides him, it's just any black man, you know, whether it's, you know, a professor here at my school or, you know, anybody who's been in my life that's tried to help me succeed and try to help me become a better person is, you know, considered a role model.
There's the man, there's the American man, and then there's the African American man. These are consciousness that once you step outside your door, you need to be aware that there are differences. There's differences in perception. When people see me, they're not just seeing an American, they're seeing an African American, then they're seeing an African American male. And all of the stereotypes associated with that, and whether I choose to succumb to that or overcome that.
I am Denzel Freeman.
I am Alexander Demno.
I am Alonzo Connington.
I am Will Gardner.
Nico Jones.
I soon inspired to be
balling out on Wall Street at one of your Fortune 500 companies.
Not only aspiring neurosurgeon, but a leader in my community and to help
other black males succeed.
Fearless.
Super role model for the kids in the community.
a leader, an artist.
You know, I'm going back after I graduate. That's what I want to do. Help black men understand that we're as smart as everybody else.
There's nothing that nobody can take away from me, and there's nothing that I'm willing to give up to be anything except for being a black man.
Remember, each one, reach one. As you reach one, teach one. God bless.
Check my heart. Look at the scars the whelps form for being whipped and whipped with lashes meant for my ancestors. Those who came before me, my predecessors, they paved the way, but still I'm whipped with lashes not meant for me because I am not the color of my skin. I did not choose the skin I'm in, but I accept it. I embrace it. You don't like my brown tint, try to erase it. Ignorance. You can't. See, this brown carries history. A history I'm proud is a part of me. So check this. Your hatred only fuels the success you try to suppress. When you chose to aggress us, we begin to express ourselves and repossess what was taken from us. Starting with being compressed under decks, oppressed until protest was no less than the norm. You hate and expect regression, but wait until our succession. It is inevitable for black to become successful. Black president? That's nothing but a pebble compared to the mountains we'll climb. When you're feeling discouraged, listen to the rebels of the old time sing old lines like, we shall overcome, we shall overcome, we shall overcome. Overcame getting beat on like the white man's drum, became numb, remember where we're going and where we came from. Picked off discriminations one by one, limiting our own limitations until there were none. We'll refuse to quit till accusers acquit, charge stereotypes, and admit the wit that emits from us and sits amongst us that you intentionally omit for your own benefit. See, Martin Luther King had a dream. Open your eyes and see. His dream is the truth, lived by our youth. Only ignorance can deny what the world has become. Open your eyes. We are one.